everyone. You can't see us, but we're pumping our fists because it's almost summertime. Actually, it is officially summertime. By the time we record, or by the time this airs, it will officially be summer.
And if that song doesn't sound like a cool summer breeze, I don't know what does.
I don't know either.
Hi, welcome to Scream Girls.
Welcome to Scream Girls. I'm Kaitlin McKenzie.
I'm Callie Goff. This is a podcast all about scary movies.
Mm-hmm. And summer today.
It's summer! Woo!
Scary summer. How is your summer planned out, Miss Goff?
How's my summer planned out? I'm so excited for summer. Finally. I'm taking some time off. I'm taking the whole 4th of July week off.
Ugh, jelly.
Just living a free life.
What are you doing on 4th of July?
I'm going to Rhode Island.
That's what I've never been.
With some friends.
I
may never return. How's that feel, Miss Denver?
No!
Yeah, I don't know what Rhode Island's like, but yeah, I'm just going with some friends. Gonna be up there. Then my grandma's turning 90.
Woof. That's
my mom's turning 90.
a good one.
So I'm gonna be going to Maryland for her party, and then at the end of July, we're going to the Dominican Republic.
Oh my God. I've been looking at Groupons for the Dominican Republic. I want to go so bad.
Oh my God, I'll let you know. I'll
man.
report back. Also, if anyone has been to the Dominican Republic and has some tips, holler at your girl at screamgirlspod.com.
Or
we don't have a .com.
No .com. Just on social media. Or better yet, write your tips in a review of our podcast on iTunes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, review the Dominican Republic.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it doesn't matter what you review. Review anything.
What do you have planned for the summer, Caitlin?
Oh man, I don't have big plans. I'm going to take a trip at the end of August to Michigan to visit my family, which is going to be exciting because I usually only go to Michigan in the dead of winter for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And it's not so fun in the dead of winter. So, yeah, Michigan in the summer, they got lakes, they got cherry trees. I think it's going to be nice.
Nice.
And then I'm turning 29, 4th of July weekend as well. B-Day's July
you're a
3rd.
Baby.
I don't know, man. It's my last year of my twins. I don't know. I got to use it well. I got to use it well.
I think you should do what I aimed to do because I felt like it went well.
What would you do?
The last year of my 20s, I was like, I'm going to party my ass off. I don't think I really did, but I tried to drink and go out more and have more fun than because I'm sort of naturally a homebody. Like I feel like as New Yorkers, as people who work in the theater, we do a lot of things. We do a lot of things after work. We do a lot of things on the weekends.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I have time to be partying.
I know we do a lot of things, but my natural inclination is if I don't have anything planned or like homebody myself as much as possible.
Right.
And I was like, no. I'm going to get out. I'm going to live my life. I was like Barbara Streisand and Funny Girl. If anybody asks you to do something, say yes.
Say yes to life. Yes,
say
ma'am.
yes to life.
Oh gosh, I'm so tired already thinking of it.
And then you'll turn 30 and then you can stay home as much as you want because you're fucking 30.
Of my life.
Yeah, take it from a 32-year-old.
I'll just stay home with my scary movies. Speaking of, I think these scary movies are starting to have an effect on me. Also, probably the buckets of true crime that I consume daily. But I had a really freaky sleep experience the other night. Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
No, but I have had a night terror.
Okay. Sleep paralysis, if you haven't heard of it, it's where your mind is kind of awake, but your body is still asleep, so it can't move, and you feel like you can't move. And a lot of times it's paired with perceiving an ominous presence.
Yes.
So that happened to me, and I couldn't move, and that was scary enough. And then I just heard this persistent pounding, and I was certain that a murderer was knocking on my door.
You couldn't move your body?
I couldn't move my body. No, I couldn't. I was aware that I was sort of awake, and I was sort of starting to panic because I couldn't move and trying to wrench myself awake, and then through it all I started to hear this pounding, and I was like, someone's here. And I finally woke up and was able to get up and move, and it was 4 a.m. I had to turn all of my lights on and wander around my apartment because I was so scared. It was so scary.
That is really scary.
I don't know. And then I've been getting kind of spooked at night ever since, and I think it's just a lot of dark shit I'm putting into my brain is coming to roost, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm gonna keep doing it, so hopefully I'll just callous. My brain will just get calloused.
That's scary.
Yeah, it was tough.
I mean, my night terror was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me,
but
probably.
It's a hilarious tale.
Well,
so you're gonna have to tell it.
I was asleep and I woke up screaming, like sitting straight up. My eyes were open. And I remember feeling like there was something in the room, either like a man or a huge spider or like a combination of those things, and that it was coming towards me, and I was screaming bloody murder, but I had woken up like mid-scream. So I was kind of disoriented. And Simon also woke up with a start and was like, honey! He started screaming because I was screaming. And so he started screaming. And so that's what woke me up, was Simon screaming at me. And so then I heard him screaming. And so then I started screaming more, and we're both screaming at each other. And then we both run out of the bed, run into the kitchen, screaming our heads off. We get into the kitchen. He goes, what's the matter? And I was like, what's the matter with you? And he's like, you were screaming. And I'm like, you were screaming. And then our roommate at the time, Josh, boop, he just pops his little head into the kitchen and goes, oh God, I thought you were both being murdered. He was fully ready to just book it out the front door. But my heart was pounding out of my chest. And I remember, I mean, you know how I love dread, but I have never felt such intense dread in my own body, where I was like, something horrible is going to happen. And I kept saying that to Simon. I was like, something horrible is going to happen to us. I can feel it. I can't go back to sleep. My heart's pounding out of my chest. There's someone in this apartment. Someone's going to come in. And nothing ever happened. I think I fell back to sleep finally. It happened again a few nights later.
Wow.
And then never again since then.
I almost wish that, obviously, I don't wish that anything scary or bad happened in real life, but I almost wish that you had found out that someone had tried to break in or something, because it would be cool if it was like your intuition was that powerful. And it's actually upsetting if your brain just was upset and
literally went berserk.
And
I don't know what happened. It must have been something anxiety fueled or something. But
I think
luckily,
that's the sleep paralysis
I mean,
thing too.
It never happened when I was younger, and it hasn't happened since, knock on wood.
Brains, man.
It's so crazy.
It's not like we have enough shit going on when we're awake.
Do you remember your dreams?
Very rarely, but sometimes, yeah. Or half remember them. I think if you wake up in the middle of them, it's easier to remember them.
But I remember mine, like, all of them really vividly.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Probably not all of them, but
you should journal them.
Most of them. And my whole family is the same way.
That's a cool skill.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're psychic and it'll help you someday.
I know I'm psychic. I know I'm Tangina. Tangina in the making.
On your way.
On my way.
Practicing your voice. Do you know what I wish was a dream?
What?
This film that we watched.
Way to bring us back around. Really? Okay, yes, we talked about this a little bit, but we had inverse experiences. So obviously in the last episode we talked about Pet Sematary, which was my personal hell. Kaitlin enjoyed watching it. I really enjoyed watching this movie.
And what was the movie?
I Know What You Did Last Summer. Hooray! Just in time for summer.
It's a seasonal pick, guys.
Yay!
Yeah, I had seen the movie before. I had seen it in college. And I didn't really have feelings about it one way or the other. And I was really startled by how bad it is in a lot of ways. But there's some interesting things about it that we're going to get into.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not good. But so I saw it first when I was probably 11, like when it first came out. And I think for that reason, I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I mean, I just kept being like, damn, remember when Jennifer Love Hewitt was the thing? Like, she was the it girl for a while.
Freddie Prinze Jr. too.
Freddie Prinze was a thing. Ryan Phillippe was a thing.
Sarah Michelle Gellar at the very cusp of her Buffy fame in this movie. So I was excited about it in that way, like nostalgically. But I never saw the movie when it first came out, so I didn't quite have that connection.
Did you see Scream when it first came out?
No, not until I was in college did I see Scream.
Whoa.
But it's interesting you bring up Scream because I IMDb'd this. The screenwriter of this movie also wrote Scream.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, but Scream I think is a smarter
And
movie.
who wrote the book?
Lois Duncan.
Lois Duncan, who also wrote Killing Mr. Griffin.
Mm-hmm. And a number of other thrillery books and everything.
I read this book. I want to write books like that. I think I could. Teen. I'm going to write a teen. We should write it together. Let's write a teen horror series.
I'm down.
Like Fear Street, but maybe a little more mature.
Do you know what's fucked up, though, about Lois Duncan? Is that her teen daughter was murdered after all these books she wrote.
No.
Yeah. She stopped writing this kind of book because she couldn't, obviously, deal. Unsolved murder. It's really sad. But, so I don't know.
Okay, let's write about puppies.
Okay.
Let's write a YA series about getting a pup.
Yeah, but Lois Duncan, I read this book, actually, in, like, junior high or something.
Yeah.
It's different, though, because, have you read it?
No, but I read Killing Mr. Griffin.
I read that one, too. I don't remember that one as well, but this one, I don't really remember what happened, but I do remember the big difference was the killer, they had killed a little boy. And the killer was the little boy's older brother. It wasn't like a Michael Myers type figure. It was like a more emotional sort of revenge story.
So, unlike Pet Sematary, they didn't want a child death in this movie. I get it. That would have really been a boner killer.
It would not have been such a summer fluff piece.
Yeah, that's totally what. I mean, this movie is basically the equivalent of like a Nicholas Sparks book that you like read on the
murder.
Yeah, but with murder
instead of cancer. Do you want to get into it?
I sure do.
Okay, so the song that we played at the start of this episode is also the start of this movie, and it's really fun, actually. The opening credit sequence against all the water and that guitar, this heavy metal cover of this song. I actually, watching it, I was like, oh, is this movie good? I don't remember. No, but the opening credit sequence is good.
Yeah, I liked it. The first thing I noticed even before the opening sequence was Mandalay Entertainment. And I was like, haven't seen that in a minute.
I took note of that too.
Yeah, and I think they must be debunked or something. They just haven't made a movie in a really long time.
I was confused for a minute. I was like, am I watching the right movie? Is this a jungle movie? Like, it's a really distracting production company sequence.
Yeah, it looks like the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
So anyway, we start with a competition, Miss wherever they are competition, and our girl Helen,
SMG,
Sarah
Michelle Gellar,
is on stage in this swimsuit competition, which I was like, oh, topical, because Miss America just nixed their swimsuit comp.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah, so this will be old news by the time this episode comes out, but Miss America has nixed their swimsuit and I think their evening wear parts of the competition.
Well, evening wear, I like a gown.
It's like, I think they probably are still going to wear evening wear. It's just not being judged on
look how I wear this evening
wear. Which begs
the
question, are they still going to wear their swimsuits and just not be judged on it? I don't know. Which, could be like what happened in this competition where Helen is wearing her swimsuit when she does the question and answer portion of the competition.
It's dark. But our girl Jennifer Love Hewitt, who is the star of this movie, we learn right away that she's smart because she calls out the inherent sexism of what she is seeing and the two dudes that she is with. Freddie Prinze Jr., who is her boyfriend in this film, makes a comment about SMG's tits in front of not only his girlfriend, but SMG's boyfriend, Ryan Phillippe.
Yeah. I mean, they're friends.
I guess, but I was like,
and it was like
I wouldn't respond well to that.
It was an innocent enough
talk about
comment.
my best friend's boobs in front of me, thank you.
Yeah, 100. But whatever. Also, Helen gives a mildly okay answer to the question, and Ryan Phillippe or Freddie Prinze is like, do you feed her this shit? So we're also learning that Jennifer Love, her character's name is Julie, is the smart one of the group.
She's smart and woke-ish. But actually, the fact that Freddie Prinze Jr. made a comment about SMG's boobs is maybe foreshadowing for real life, because in real life they're married and they met during the filming of this movie.
They did? I was wondering if it was this or Scooby-Doo.
I looked it up. No, Scooby-Doo was after this.
Aha.
Yeah.
Oh, love. Well, as Helen's winning the competition, Ryan Phillippe yells, "That's my girlfriend!" And that's like iconic from the balcony.
Oh, this is pre-Cruel Intentions, too. This is not even there.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Cruel Intentions was like 2 or 3 years later.
He was cute.
Yeah, he was.
But a prick.
Such a prick.
God.
He was, all of them were dicks. The thing is, he wore it the most on his sleeve. So the next scene that we see is they're at this carnival or whatever.
Party.
And the guy from The Big Bang Theory, like the main guy from The Big Bang Theory, shows up and he's hitting
Johnny Galecki.
And he's hitting on
Julie,
JLH, and she shoots him down. And then Ryan Phillippe is drunk and pushes him, and they get in a fight. It's just like, okay, that guy's an asshole, but if your friend is being that big of a dick, I don't know, like, maybe be like, sorry, man.
Yeah, be like, chill out, Barry.
Yeah, it's just like, that poor guy, I feel like. I mean, he shouldn't have been hitting on JLH. Yeah,
also, he totally reminded me of Paul from It Follows, where I was just like, ugh, another boner boy. Like, get the fuck out of here. Leave Julie alone. She has a fucking boyfriend. She has a boyfriend. Leave her alone.
I know. Yeah, but it just, nobody came off good. It was just bad.
Also, at this party, I just took note that this movie is so dated by this point that it looks like Friday the 13th. Yeah. Like, it just looks like another time. Like, even me watching it, I'm like, when was this? Like, look at their crazy outfits. Like, look at those bangs.
Look at that choker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to note, too, because I want to make a point about it later, that Helen is making a point to Jennifer Love Hewitt about how, like, the hair, it's all about the hairdo, and
her hair.
Everybody has to, like, that's the thing that you have to do to impress. Is
and that also Julie's going to be a lawyer. We also at this party get the first look at Helen's sister Elsa.
Who's the worst.
Who's a giant bitch.
She's so
and she looks
mean.
40, so.
But the thing is, I don't understand why she's such a bitch, because it's like she's equally hot or hotter than Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why are you so jealous and petty? She's Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison.
Yeah.
So just picture that. She's like a stone cold fox. It's very strange.
I don't know. They just have sibling rivalry, I guess.
She's really mean. But yeah, she's like, it's like, you're an adult woman. Why are you being such a...
Yeah. So we're still at the party. There's this weird moment where, like, Ryan Phillippe hits the boner boy Max, and Freddie Prinze is like, chill out, man, you know, whatever. He does kind of be like, chill out, dude.
He's like the stable one.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm just taking care of your girl like I promised. What?
Ew.
I was just
because they're going to the same college.
Aha!
Yeah, her and Ryan Phillippe.
Oh, okay. Well, I like that line better now.
But that's also gross. Like, what? I would be very pissed
girlfriend,
if my boyfriend...
Or also, like, don't let other guys talk to her.
Yeah. But he's wasted. Anyway, so then they go to the beach and they talk about the future. Oh, they're selling that urban legend about the hook hand, which is foreshadowing, which is a scary story, you know, about the teens necking, and there's a report about an escaped inmate with a hook for a hand, and then so the girl gets scared and they drive away, and when they go home there's a bloody hook in the car door. And Julie makes an interesting point about how it's a story that's meant to scare young girls from having premarital sex, which I was happy about, because all the teens in this movie do have sex, and it doesn't really seem to be connected to their fate.
No.
So, you know, but we get a little screamish.
But it is, again, a little foreshadowing, because then she goes off, she loses her V card, and then, you know, a murderer comes upon them. Yeah.
It's true. She only has one unburdened fuck of her life.
Poor thing.
Yeah. But yeah, you get some meta, like, squeamishness here. You can see that the parallels.
Totally.
So then they're going home.
Well, first of all, when Freddie Prinze and Jennifer Love go off, they're like kissing and chatting and being sweet or whatever, and then they start making out, and she like takes off her sweater, and he's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Wow,
yeah, maybe
Freddie.
She was just hot, Freddie.
Yeah, maybe it's hot on this beach. It is summer, but also she has sex on the beach for the very first time. Like, oh god, that's a mess.
Yeah. But anyway, so they are leaving. Ryan Phillippe is drunk as fuck. They, you know, notably he doesn't drive, but he's
like, at this point I was like, why are they friends with him? He's such a douchebag.
Well, I didn't understand why these two couples were friends, because it was these two smart nerds and then these two like jocks. And
I guess it's like a small town. Jennifer Love is beautiful, so like,
yeah, she can fit in.
She and Helen are friends.
I guess.
Freddie Prinze is jockey. He was probably on the
yeah.
He was probably on the sports, but he was also, we learned this a little later, but he's not as wealthy as the rest of them.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But I imagine that's how they met, is through sports. And he's hot.
Sure.
He's hot.
They're all hot, so I guess you just have to stick together when there's probably not that many hotties. I mean, all we've seen other than these people is Johnny Galecki, so.
Yeah. Those are the only people we meet.
And Veronica Vaughn, but she's a huge B. This scene was not annoying, but I was just like, oh god, this reminds me so much of being with a too drunk friend. I've had many of these experiences where you have a friend who's so drunk they're just being unruly and you're trying to corral them out of being obnoxious. And I can't
really remember the last time that's happened to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody that's been mean. Like, I've never had an aggressive, like, violent drunk person that I've had to deal with, but people who are, like, running into the street or just, like, going and peeing somewhere, and you're like, oh,
or like,
my god,
even like,
dude.
I do have friends who have like started arguments with other people apropos of nothing. Like, they'll be like, why'd you put your dick on the table? And it's like, he didn't say anything.
Or just,
he
like saying stuff to
he was just bringing us our check. Like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like a pretty real thing. But he's being annoying. They're driving down the streets like a mountain road. Ryan Phillippe starts being a huge asshole, and he spills his liquor, whatever he's drinking, all over Freddie Prinze Jr. Here gets distracted.
Which also, though, I'm like, Freddie, slow down, bro. You're speeding on these cliffs. Just slow down.
I know. They're lucky they didn't go off the guardrail.
Oh my god, and also that's one of my worst fears ever, is like
I know.
going off a cliff.
Driving in Colorado when I was there, it was like, I wasn't even driving.
Really
I was just looking, but it was pretty nerve-wracking. But anyway, so Freddie is distracted and boom, they run into something. They're like, oh no, was it a dog? Was it a deer? But there's a huge dent in the car, and JLH is like, a dog couldn't have done that. They're like, let's just get in the car, go. They find a fucking bloody boot that has gone a-flying, and then they find the guy.
Dead body.
And his face is so scraped up and fucked up. Freddie Prinze Jr. takes his pulse, determines that he's dead. Clearly, Freddie Prinze Jr. is not good at taking pulses, but he's a high school student, so...
Yeah, and at this point, Freddie, bless you, but the acting, woof. Wow. But Jennifer Love has a scream. She is a scream queen. Like, she is like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
like,
she does scream well.
She is a good scary movie scream.
Yeah.
But the acting is rough. Also, like, call somebody for goodness sake.
You know, the girls are like, well, particularly JLH is like, we should, you know, we won't get in trouble. You weren't drinking, you weren't speeding. And they're like, who's going to believe that? They just refuse to do
the right thing.
The smart or right thing. And
the thing is, so they also say, we're going to fry no matter who takes the fall. And it's like, fry.
Also, it's like,
you're like 17, 18 years old. You're going to be okay. Yeah. And also, it just, they go from 0 to 100 in no time because they decide to, well, first of all, Max drives by.
Yes, he drives by and Julie distracts him while they move the body.
Yes, but also, okay, so I think even before this, Ryan Phillippe is like, we have to dump the body. And I'm like, dump the body?
Yeah,
like, what? Like, you've literally gone from 0 to 100 in an under 3-minute scene. Like, there's just...
Well, and he's wasted, so it's like, okay. But then Freddie is immediately on board with it.
Yeah, and motivation... he's like, I don't have the money or the family connections to get me out of this, Julie.
That's supposed to be the justification for it. But it's like, wait. I thought you were like our nice guy, our stable, emotional guy. And the girls get on board with... Julie's the only one that puts up any resistance, but all of them are just like, okay, I guess we'll fucking do like a much more serious fucking crime than hitting someone in the dark at night.
Yeah.
And oh god, I just at this point, and this is my problem with this movie, I'll just get to it right here. At no point after this do I give a shit about any of these people.
Right.
Like, immediately I'm like, fuck you guys.
Not even Julie?
No, fuck Julie. Because what happens after this is, we'll get to it in a second, but no. The thing about it is, can you imagine you just never hear from your husband or your son or your brother again, and you don't know what happened to them? They don't give that one thought. They're never like, we can't, because the big
Julie
reason...
does. She's like, should we look in his wallet at least to see who he is?
Yeah, but then they're like, why? And she just goes, I don't know, just to know. It's like, no, how about to tell people?
Well, I think, you know, probably A to B is just to know, but then like B to C to E is because I want to know who he is. Like,
for us, you know?
Yeah, but later they do all look up who it was. I do think they, you know, Freddie Prinze goes to the house.
But he doesn't tell her what happened to her. But you know what I mean? Like, none of it. It's just like, it's so sociopathic. From
it really
the beginning.
Is, yeah, 100%.
It's crazy, and I get it. I've never been in that situation. I've had dreams where I've been in that situation, and it's a horrible feeling.
Right.
But it's just like, there's no way that I can give a shit about any of these people after this.
I get it.
But we must continue to watch them do
And you
things.
kind of, the good thing is that you kind of don't have to give a shit about them because... Like,
I guess, but like, why do I care about the events of the movie then?
I guess.
You know?
True. But like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's fine. We watched it, and this is what happened next. They took the body to the docks to throw it over. A very populous area. Poor choice, but they're teens. And the body wakes up. It's not dead.
No, this is a horrible fucking idea.
And then they throw it into the water anyway. He snatches SMG's crown. Her beauty queen crown. And Ryan Phillippe dives in to get it. And not because of her needing the crown, but because they don't want it, you know, connected to her. So he gets it. And this is the second point of no return. It's like, okay, now you've murdered someone.
Well, at this point, call somebody.
Yeah.
Be like, we made a mistake. Yeah, get him, swim down there, get him out, and be like, oops, sorry, we're just drunk, we didn't know what we were doing.
They have killed someone at this point, they believe.
Sort of. I mean, even under the water, though, the guy's eyes pop open. I would be like, he not dead.
I know. They're not very thorough. I'm like, double tap that bitch. Or don't double tap him, save him, but then later double tap him. But anyway, so next.
Well, then, okay, so then next? Ryan Phillippe is like, we never tell anybody about this. We take this to our graves. And Julie is like, not answering. Right. He's like, say it! And he is just revealed to be an abuser. Like, oh, you do not want to marry this man. Like, he grabs her by the throat. Yeah. And he's like, say it! And so she's like, you're right, Barry. We'll never tell anyone. But, like, Jesus Christ, grabbing her by the throat.
Also,
like,
Freddie, are you not going to do anything about this? A man is choking your girlfriend in front of you. Are you, like, not going to step in?
Also, I just wrote down it's a big night for Julie. She lost her V card, and now this.
I know. Murdered someone. So I guess maybe it isn't okay to have teen sex.
No.
I guess it's not.
Okay, yeah. So 1 year later.
Julie's at college. Coming home from college. She's very sad. She's having a bad time. First of all, her friend
comes in and she's like, Julie! And Julie turns around and she's like, death run over. Yeah. Her hair is dirty.
She's got limp, dirty hair, which throwback to Helen's comment, it's all about the hair.
Dirty wisp bangs. Yeah. And just looks awful. Gaunt.
Doesn't look good.
She goes home.
Her mom's like, the dean called, you're failing all your fucking classes, which is Little Miss Pre-Law.
And I also wrote down that the first big scare was the guy waking up, and the second big scare was that green hat in the backseat of her car, because, woof. And then she puts it on, and it is rough.
Well, it's better than her dirty-ass hair, I guess.
This was after Blossom. I feel like we didn't need another floppy hat, okay? It's not great. So then her poor mama is like, what happened to my daughter? Okay, at this part, I do kind of feel for Julie. Like, yes, she didn't have to participate really, but I just kind of understand as a person with anxieties and feelings of guilt, often unreasonable feelings of guilt, her feelings of reasonable, warranted guilt were a lot for me.
I did identify with her in the sense that I am very much an overachiever type A sort of person, and I never ever was in trouble with teachers or anything. And so the thought of doing something really, really bad and being is
and then like living with it. I mean, it just would be so impossible to live with what they've done.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But also like then maybe tell somebody.
She should. I couldn't have done it. I mean, I would have told somebody. Yeah. I would have told someone the next day. Absolutely. Probably my mom. I'd be like, I'm gonna need some help.
Yeah. I mean, it's a scary premise, I guess, in the sense that it's like, maybe what if you did do that? Because people have done fucked up shit like that for sure. But it's just when you're scared, you'll do stuff. But it's just. I mean, we'll get into... I have other thoughts.
I kind of feel like the scariest part of this movie is thinking about if that accidentally happened to you and the guilt of that.
Yeah, I mean, and it does, I will say, that it makes a good situation when they start getting hunted because they cannot go to the police. Like, it's a good built-in sort of premise. They're on their own because they can't seek help without indicting themselves.
Right.
So that's interesting, but also fuck all y'all.
So this is the moment when Julie gets the note, the first note that is the catalyst for this whole thing that says, I know what you did last summer. And that's the title. And she freaks out. First of all, she's like, who sent this? And her mom's like, I don't know. What's it say? And she's like, nothing. And she runs up the stairs. And my mom would be having none of this. Whoop. My mom would be like, yeah, you're done with school. You're coming home because you're clearly on drugs or something. And she'd be like, give me that note. I'm going to read it. And then she'd be like, what happened last summer?
What'd you do last summer?
And I'd be like, and I'd break down and I'd tell her.
Murdered a man.
Yeah. So then what happened? So then she goes to the store. It's a department store.
Yeah. It's like a thrift store. It's a janky-ass store.
Weird. I feel like it's like a 90s department store, though, before they closed. Like a lot of them went out of business. But it was like a small town department store. But anyway, she meets with Elsa. She's Helen's sister. Elsa, the original ice queen. She's such a bitch. And she's like, can you give me Helen's New York number? I need to talk to her. And she says, Helen doesn't have a New York number. If you need to reach her, you can look over at Ladies Fragrances.
Right. So she's working in the family store. So she goes over and she shows.
And so you realize also that the girls have completely lost touch.
And that neither of them are doing good. Because SMG had all these plans to go to New York and become an actress. And she says, I went. It didn't go so well. And she's looking crazy. Her makeup situation and her hair situation is
and that skirt and that top. And
it's like a Real Housewives of New Jersey.
She's smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, smoking
there's a lot going on. Meanwhile,
she looks great, but it's like, whoa.
Julie is wearing overalls. So judge not.
I mean, at least Helen washed her hair.
Be judged. Yeah, Helen's wig looks fat.
I'm not saying that she looks bad, but it just is like, a startling look for an 18-year-old.
It's mature.
Yeah.
So Sarah Michelle Gellar has the face of an angel. She's cute as a button.
You know how I feel about my Buffy.
Oh,
She's
you're
very
buff.
un-Buffy-like in this movie, though, unfortunately.
So Julie's telling her about the note, and Helen says, "We were so careful." Were you?
Yeah.
Like, literally, you put a body in a trunk and then pushed him
A
alive
body.
person.
Mm-hmm. Well, to Julie's credit, she says, "Were we?" She says exactly that.
I wish she said it like, "Were we?"
Then they go and find Ryan Phillippe, who's rich as fuck and being a rich dick. And we find out that he and SMG have broken up and he's being a prick to them. In fact, SMG even says, "You're a prick." But he's like,
he says, "You two should look in the mirror. You look like shit run over twice."
which they do, but also like,
Shut up, you asshole.
He definitely like raped somebody in his frat, right?
Also, yeah. I mean, he's never heard the word consent. Barry has a lot to learn. Also, Barry is like, what's his life like now?
Well,
he dead, but like if Barry were alive,
yeah,
he would be like,
he would be like a finance guy.
He'd be like having sex with
yeah.
He'd be Alexander Skarsgård character on Big Little Lies.
He'd be getting Me Too'd for sure.
100%.
If he lived through this film. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. So
not upset about it.
So he assumes right away that it's Max, aka Johnny Galecki from The Big Bang Theory, that because he hated them all, and he's the one that must
also
be doing it.
Add like throughout this movie, they are not careful about the conversations they have with people around. Like his mother is within earshot during this whole scene.
Yeah.
And when she's like, "We murdered someone," he goes, "You shut the hell up."
She's probably used to him
Loses
freaking out.
yeah.
His mom. But yeah, and then
She's
later
like, they probably don't like his wife beater.
They have a full volume convo in the hospital later as well.
Yeah, full.
But anyway, so they go to find Johnny Galecki, and Barry, Ryan Phillippe, is like, "You girls stay here. I'm gonna go talk to him." Threatens him with a meat hook. We find out that Johnny Galecki works on the docks. There's like class tensions between like the people who work on the docks as the fishermen and then the kids who have gone off to college. So he threatens Johnny and he's like, "Everything's gonna be cool. I took care of it." And then they run into Freddie Prinze Jr., who we learn has been working in town on a boat.
Yeah. I don't know why it made me laugh out loud. It really made me laugh.
What?
Seeing Freddie Prinze on a boat. I don't know. Just like that moment.
I looked good on a
His
boat.
hair was really cray.
He's good looking, I will say.
Yeah. I don't know why. It really just made me laugh.
But
I think it was because they just bump into him.
Yeah, it's
like
very
they're like
convenient.
Ray, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I work on this boat."
Yeah, well, he couldn't make it. He couldn't hack it in college because he was sad too. They're all too sad.
Too sad.
And then he and Julie have a moment where he's like, "I know you blame me. I'm really sorry." And she's like, "I'm responsible for my own choices. I just don't want to know you."
Yeah,
which
I
is
don't
a
wanna
fair
know
thing
you.
to say for sure. She's being
Also, I
that's
feel
true.
like when you have done something wrong or you feel guilt, like you don't want to be around the people that evoke that feeling for you. And so they've all gone their own ways. They don't want to see each other. And I totally get that, They want to distance themselves from that feeling.
Okay, so then we get a scene with just Johnny Galecki.
Yes.
Making lobsters, plunging lobsters into hot water.
Yeah. Or
at his job.
Moving crabs.
Moving crabs. And then
we meet the killer.
The killer shows up. And he
which is strange.
Yeah, it's weird that he targets Johnny Galecki. I mean,
why?
I think probably because his main goal is to fuck with the other people.
Yeah.
So if he right away kills the person they thought it was, then they know that. But it's just like, wow, that guy is a socio. Like, that's the thing about the killer, too. It's like, okay, if his motive is revenge against these people, I get it, and I can even sympathize with him a little bit. But, like, he's just killing willy-nilly.
Yeah, I thought it was a little like, what is the motivation for that? I thought it was sort of a plot device so that we know that it's not him.
Yeah, for sure. And then we get to see a dead body later. He kills Johnny with a meat hook to the chin, which is good, but he was working over all these vats of boiling lobster water. I was like, why don't you, this is such a more interesting kill as presenting it to you right here.
Put him in the crabs.
Put him in the crabs. But I understand that they've already set us up with this hook story, and then the hook will come back throughout. The hook is the murder weapon throughout.
Just ruined those crabs. Perfectly good crabs.
I know, delicious. Not anymore. After that,
we see Barry in the gym.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Phillippe is working
out. Who, we may have to cut this, but he is fine.
Yeah, he is.
Though not yet a full-fledged man. I mean,
I just had no.
Like, I felt a little inappropriate.
He's 18, it's fine.
I hope so.
I'm sure.
I felt a little inappropriate.
Yeah, but I mean, also, like, you loved him when you were, you know what I mean? When
Yeah.
you first saw this movie, you were, like, 11.
Also, didn't it feel like this was around the time, maybe just for me, but this time in the 90s was when abs really became a thing? Or have abs always been a thing?
No, they were not a thing in, like, the 60s, you know? I don't know when that happened.
I feel just like...
It feels right.
This was like the sort of just at the onset of bods, like real bods, like well Brad
sculpted.
Pitt in Fight Club, pinnacle ab city.
Those abs are crazy though. You have to do so much stuff.
Those
to get
abs
those abs
are crazy.
Like you have to do like a crazy
But when
diet.
was
Like
Fight
the
Club?
day before.
Wasn't Fight Club
was like
a few years later? Yeah,
I think.
See, peak abs.
Yeah,
I just felt like it was all about the abs in my life at this time.
It was, yeah. Well, here, he's in the shower. We're lusting with our eyes. And he then goes and looks in his locker, and he realizes his jacket's missing.
Mm-hmm.
He goes outside, and his car is being driven away.
Yeah.
He starts yelling, and then the car starts chasing him. And it runs him right into...
and he runs like he runs to the left, and then to the right, and then to the left, and then to the right. And
yeah. And
you can't outrun a car.
You can't, but you would try. But so then he gets basically pinned. He gets run into this, like, shack.
Yes.
And then the killer gets out, and we see him through Ryan Phillippe's eyes, which you can't see his face, but he's in, like, a rain slicker and a fisherman's hat, and he has a hook.
Which is stupid.
Blackout. And then we find out that Ryan Phillippe's in the hospital. He hasn't been killed. The kids all wind up at the hospital with Ryan, and they're freaking out. They're like, maybe we should go.
It's clearly not Max. Someone tried to kill you, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to try and figure out...
they're going to chase
Julie knows that the man who died, his name was David Egan.
Right, because she looked it up. His body was fished out
she
of
has
the lake
done
3 weeks later.
And she has done some crazy work on the internet, the new internet.
The newfangled internet.
And she found out where David Egan lives, so she and Helen are going to go...
Talk to his sister, his surviving sister, who is played by Anne Heche.
Anne Heche.
Former girlfriend of Ellen DeGeneres. That's all I really know about her. But they show up, and Anne Heche is like a creepy hillbilly. For some reason, she went to the same high school as them, lives one county over, but has a deep South accent. Like she's from Alabama.
Yeah, what the fuck? Where is this, Maine?
It's Maine. So questionable.
Oh
I'm not
my
sure
God.
Why
that is bizarre. I didn't even pick up on that.
Because it's very atmospheric.
I
certainly.
honestly was like, I can't tell where this is, and I'm not going to do the work to figure it out. Maybe it was South Carolina.
No, I think it was Maine because it's like a fisherman situation.
I know. I think they crab in South Carolina and North Carolina.
Oh, maybe.
So maybe. But she lives in the sticks, and if you're from the sticks, you have a southern accent, I guess. But I liked this moment for you, Caitlin, when Sarah Michelle Gellar's like, what's our plan? Shouldn't we have a plan? You know, Jodie Foster tried this, and a serial killer opened the door.
Yeah, I took note of that too. It was cute. And so then they go inside, and they fake having car trouble, and that they need to use the phone, and they use the fakest, most awkward pseudonyms ever. She's like, Jodie, why don't you go make a phone call? They proceed to ask a series of deeply invasive questions to this woman.
Also, Missy, Anne Heche, is so odd.
Yeah,
like,
she's lonely.
What the fuck?
Because her brother died and her mom's in a home. And they basically get out of her that a friend came to visit right after the death of the brother, and his name was Billy Blue, and they were sweet on each other for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, what?
So they're like, okay, Billy Blue is probably the guy that, you know, is the killer
kill them,
because he's friends with David Egan. So they run away. This part annoyed me too. Jennifer Love Hewitt was like, what did she say? She was like, we've ruined so many lives.
Yeah.
And
I think you're giving us too much credit. We don't have that much power.
You do when you kill someone.
Yeah.
She's just very delusional about it. She's
also,
like,
poor sad Missy, as they're running out, she's like, are you sure you have to go right now? I don't get that many knocks on my door these days. And I was like, oh,
and like,
God.
you're pretty hot though. Like, you don't have to live here.
You don't have to live like this.
No.
That was the part that I was like, what's the matter with you?
Later, she's cutting up like a lot of fish and birds and things. I'm like, what are you doing out here? What is your job?
Yeah.
But anyway, so they leave. Sarah Michelle Gellar goes home. She and Julie have like a sad moment where she's like, I miss
you. What happened to us? And it's like, well, you killed somebody together. But Julie's cold as ice. She's like, don't want to know you. Pretty much. So Helen goes home. I don't know why. I kind of felt bad for Helen because she's just kind of an innocent. I mean, I know she's not innocent, but she's just a little stupid.
And spoiled. She's really spoiled.
Yeah.
She's used to being Little Miss Perfect and, like, everybody
And obviously she was willing to, like, date a guy who was, you know.
Not good.
Yeah. You know, she comes home, she says hi to her father. He doesn't even look up from the television.
Yeah. She's having a sad moment in her bedroom. Oh, she pours herself one sip of Diet Coke into a glass and drinks it.
Yeah, and her damn sister comes in and is a bitch.
Yeah, she's like, is the washed up husband having a moment? It's like, what is your fucking problem?
What's your fucking problem?
But anyway. So
and she also says to her, you and your hair, it's so pathetic, because Sarah Michelle Gellar's brushing her hair.
Yeah.
And, we missed the most important part, that we saw the killer comes into the house.
We don't know where he's at.
And he's hiding in her closet.
Yeah.
And so when Elsa says, oh, you and your hair, it's so pathetic.
Yeah.
It clues for him that her hair means a lot to her. She goes to sleep, wakes up the next morning.
Her hair's all...
The crown has been placed on her head.
Oh, yeah. She's a heavy sleeper.
And, yes.
Even though she had Diet Coke right before bed.
I know. She also got into bed with, like, no routine.
No. I'm like, your skin don't look that great.
Like, yeah, take your makeup off, like, brush your teeth, read a book. But no, she just, like, immediately is asleep. She wakes up, she pulls the crown off, and hair comes with it. And she immediately starts freaking out, pulling her hair. All this hair is coming off. She looks in the mirror, and it says, soon. And she punches the mirror.
Yeah, and she punches the mirror, which always makes me very scared when people do that. Movies kind of like Glass.
Ooh, and before she went to bed, there was a playbill on her bedside table, but I couldn't see what show it was.
No, we're going to have to go back and find
I was like, Helen, what show?
Helen, where'd you go? Still, there must be in New York because...
She was in New York.
Oh, she was in New York. That's right. Oh, that's sad.
Good little detail, set dresser.
Okay, fair enough.
And maybe it's by her bedside table because she'll be like, oh, my dreams.
Okay, so the next day, by the way, I just want to say, she has said to her sister's like, I need you to come to the store at 10. And she's like, I can't because I have to do the parade. Like, just a lot of stuff happens before 10.
Yes, a lot. A lot.
Although maybe it's like she has to be at the parade at 11, so she can't go to the store. I don't know. But she calls Julie. Julie rushes over.
First of all, when she calls Julie goes, what? Oh my God. And then just hangs up. And I was like, what the fuck was happening on the other side of that phone call? Someone cut Helen's hair.
Yeah, I mean,
like she didn't need any more information.
Whoever called her came up with a very concise way to describe what was happening.
A tweet.
But anyway, she's driving really fast to get to her. She starts hearing like a rattling. This part freaked me out a little bit because back when I had a car, living in New York, I don't have one, but I would always be terrified someone was in my backseat. I would like, if I got into it, I'd be like, oh. But nobody's in her backseat, but she pulls over. Except that hat. I was like, is there something sinister under that fucking hat?
Scariest part of the movie.
She gets out, she opens up her trunk, and Max's dead body is in there. And this was gross because there's crabs all over it, crawling into his mouth and out of his mouth. She runs, she finds, Ryan Phillippe's already with SMG. She's like, oh my God, there's a dead body. They come back to look, and the trunk is empty. This is insane because it's so clean. It's not just like it's empty. It's like there would have been dead body juice. There would have been crab juice. No.
Yeah, this part was stupid. You had to like really suspend your disbelief for this part.
Yeah, but then so she's like, Ryan doesn't really believe her, but SMG does. Which, come on, there's some shit happening. And then this is your favorite part, Callie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first Ryan Phillippe is like, why would he put a body in your trunk and then move it? And she goes, why did he make coleslaw on Ellen's head? He's fucking with us. Which like the F-bomb just abounds in a movie that I watched when I was 11.
Well,
go figs. So then she's like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? In the middle of the street. Love it. With her big bosoms bouncing.
Oh my God, her boobs. And her weight, like the proportion of her boobs to her waist is insane. Her waist is so small, and she's in a belly shirt for this whole last half of the film.
Yeah, her pants looked really uncomfortable. It was a thick pant.
Yeah.
For a summer.
Thick pants of sadness.
At some point, I was like, Julie.
She's got no fat, so she probably needs
short?
to keep warm. I don't know. Maybe shorts weren't in.
I don't know. But at this point, I was like, doesn't Helen have to be in the parade?
Yeah, well, she does. So she doesn't want to go. I know, but she's like sad.
She's sad.
So it has to reflect her sadness.
I see, yeah.
So Helen goes to the parade.
That, like, maroon corduroy really did say sad to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A corduroy in the summer.
It looked like a cord. It looked like a cord. Or just a thick jean. It didn't look comfortable to walk in.
No. Well, so Helen doesn't want to go to the parade, but they're like, you have to, because if he shows up, then we can catch him. But it's like, you don't know what he looks like, bitch.
Yeah, not a great plan.
So, but she's
also,
like,
Freddie Prinze is like, let's leave town. And I was like, that's a great fucking idea.
Oh, also, at this point, they go find Freddie, and Ryan Phillippe accuses Freddie of being the killer. Out of nowhere. Literally nowhere.
I guess it's because he's there. And so, like, if someone moved the body, it's like, oh, here you are.
But also, like, why would Freddie... Like, he's just snapped? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But, yeah, so then they go to the parade. Julie's gonna go to talk to Anne Heche again.
And show her a yearbook to pick out Billy Blue.
And I'm like, how are you gonna do that without telling her who you are? Well, she just goes ahead and spills the beans right away.
Well, at this point, also, it's the 4th of July. It's, like, day 7 in the ring. Right. Like, they're, like, all bets are off. It's the 1-year
anniversary of the death of...
Exactly.
You know, whatever, of this shit
whoever they think it is. Yeah, so they're, like, whatever he's planning, he's gonna do today. So, basically, it's like, all bets are off. Just scramble, go do what you can do to figure this out.
This is a plotty movie because I'm just thinking about the revelations that still are to come. But anyway, so SMG is in the parade. She's
also, her lob is fierce, and
also it's like, though, if you're gonna chop off somebody's hair, like, that she loves,
like, buzz it.
Why wouldn't you really shear it? It's like her hair is still past her shoulders. But, you know, she looks
my
great.
dear friend, Tom Saporito, who's had been a guest on this
podcast,
loves to play this fun game. It's like, it's so exciting, like, really fun, where he'll be like, what if I just took out a razor and shaved your head right now? He says it to me at least once every time we hang out, and he's like, is that something, like, our friendship could recover from? And then, like, we talk about it, and I'm like, no.
Has the answer ever changed?
No.
It's always no.
Well, sometimes the answer will be, like, I'd immediately start crying. Or, like, I'd probably throw up. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or, like, I'd punch you. There's always a different response, but the response to could our friendship recover is always no.
That represents a severe break in that person's ability to be
to live in this world.
Yeah.
He just, every time. So, shout out to you, Tom. Really cute. But yeah, why didn't he just, like, zzz, maybe the buzz would wake her up.
But even just to cut closer to the head so that you would have to buzz it in order to make it
her
look
hair
totally
looks amazing. Yeah. It's a
lob. It looks way better,
it's
actually.
It's a shoulder length
It looks much more chic. But anyway, so that's happening. She's looking out for every little fisherman she sees. She's like, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? She sends Barry off some other guy who's, like, in a slicker. Barry tackles him. It's just some old man who I'm like, that old man could still be the killer.
Yeah.
But it's not. And then
Simon said, he's just tackled some OAP, which is short for old age pensioner.
So British.
He's just assaulted some OAP.
He has. Well, he's a thug. Yeah. He sure is. But anyway, then she sees that the real killer is up on a roof watching her.
By the way, like, I know they live in a fisherman town, but every person came to this parade dressed as the old man in the sea. It's like every guy is wearing, and, like, the hat. Why are you wearing the hat?
Oh, I hate that bucket hat.
It's so weird.
But anyway, so then, so cut to Julie is off with Anne Heche again. Anne Heche's, like, filleting fish in her backyard for
who comes out with a knife
reason. Yeah. So she basically comes clean to Anne and tries to get her to look at the yearbook.
Yes.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I guess Julie says to her something about, like, we killed him or something like that, and she's like, no, it was a suicide. He left a note.
This is a plot twist. Yes. This is what I'm saying. There's, like, a number of plot twists that happen.
Yes, but here's my question. I feel like you maybe have an actual answer to it. The timing of the note doesn't make sense. Because she's like, no. He left a note, and I had to hide it from the insurance company for a while, but now I spent all the money, so it doesn't matter. But the note says, I'll never forget what happened last summer.
Well, no, it does make sense, because the reason that he has supposedly killed himself is because he was driving when he got into a car accident, and he lived, and his fiance had died the previous summer.
Right.
So she thinks it means I'll never forget last summer when Susie died.
Right.
So that's
but it's
what that
actually
means.
From the killer.
It is actually from the killer.
So at what point did the killer give her this note? Because didn't the killer just start writing these notes? And isn't he referring to last summer?
No. Because we learned that the real killer has killed David Egan because for a reason we'll get into. So he left that note about killing David Egan.
Oh, see, I knew you'd know, Kaitlin.
Yes, but it's the same handwriting, and so we learn, like, something clicks for Julie.
It did not click for me. Surprise, surprise.
Well, it's a little confusing. It's such a bad movie. You're just sort of like,
Yeah, I mean, I still need to spend a little time with that. Okay,
yeah.
All right, I'm
so,
with it.
Well, it'll make more sense when
So it's like he left that note for David Egan.
Yes.
I'll never forget last summer.
Because, okay, so then Julie goes home from this. Something clicks for Julie. She goes home, she researches. She finds out that Susie, the girl who was... So to reiterate, because we sort of just buzzed past it, David Egan, the guy they think they killed, he was really sad because he had caused a car accident in which his fiancée died.
Right.
Now she looks up the relatives of the fiancée, Susie, and she learns that she was survived by a father. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, maybe it was a father that killed David Egan, and David Egan didn't really kill himself, and maybe we didn't kill David Egan. So she's confused. So she runs to tell everybody this news. Cut back to whatever's happening with SMG. So SMG is at the pageant. This is the year anniversary. She's the outgoing queen, so she has to, like, be part of the pageant, which is very awkward. She's sitting on stage while people are performing.
And there was no outgoing queen
her.
During her year. No. Also, loving the girl singing Fame.
Yes, it was a nice treat.
Also, with 30 minutes left in this movie, because as much as I was enjoying this movie, I frequently checked to see how much of it was left. But with 30 minutes of this movie left, all 4 of our leads are alive.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
They hang in for a long time.
In there.
Well, that's about to change. Because Barry has told SMG, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. He goes up to the rafters to watch her. While she's there, she sees the fisherman come up from behind Barry. She starts screaming, Barry, Barry! You know, she's up on stage screaming. And Barry gets got.
Also, the entire audience grabs her and holds onto her like she's like...
They're just assuming that she's insane.
Which, fuck off. Get your fucking hands off of me. I would be losing my shit if I was like... If people were grabbing me... All these men are like grabbing her.
Also, it's not like she just wandered in off the street.
No, she's the fucking queen.
She's sitting there, like, you know her to be a reasonable person. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe believe her, but nobody believes her. But
no one's being like, what's going on? Are you okay? Everyone's just like holding her. It's very weird. Strange.
So a shitty police officer goes up with her into the rafters, you know, and we have already seen Barry get killed with the hook. Barry's gone, thank God.
Barry's gone.
And so they go up there and nobody's
Barry
there.
is gone and the world is better for it.
Yeah, we really owe the fisherman a solid for that one.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, so they go upstairs and they're like, he's gone, but we see blood dripping. So he starts driving her home. This was pretty good. Okay, I'm going to say this whole chase sequence of SMG was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it was also it was the most thing probably similar to Scream.
Yeah.
With like the young girl running from the killer. But it's the only real moment in this movie like that.
Yes.
Pretty much, besides
sure.
Barry running
There's
around.
most of the scenes are very short. Most of the kill scenes. Like, most of it's, like, mystery exposition, like, the people fighting. This is really the only good horror scene, I would say, of the movie. But what happens is, the policeman is driving her home, and she's in the back of the squad car, which, you know, is locked from the outside. Like, she couldn't get out without someone letting her out. The policeman sees somebody having car trouble, gets out. It turns out, of course, to be the fisherman. He kills the policeman because he has no fucks to give about who he kills.
I guess, but I was also like, okay, dude, now you've killed a fucking cop who did nothing to you.
I know. Well, neither had Johnny Galecki.
But, like, you had the chance to kill this girl in her bedroom.
Yeah.
And instead you choose to kill a cop.
But he's definitely got issues beyond just, like, wanting revenge. So then...
She busts the window out of the back seat.
She actually is very Buffy-ish here. This is cool. Like, this is a cool situation. She's trapped in the squad car and the killer's advancing toward her. You know, like, cool. So she gets out. She runs. She gets to the thrift store, department store. And Elsa is, like, taking her sweet-ass time to let her in. I'm like, bitch, your sister is clearly freaking out. It's like, I don't care how much you don't like your sister. That's your sister. Yeah. If you see her in that much distress, you're going to, try to help her.
Yeah, totally.
They get inside.
Also, Sarah Michelle Gellar is in a gown. She's in that gown. And I was like, running in a gown is like second only to running with diarrhea, as we've discussed. But like running in a goddamn gown.
I know. In those shoes.
I can't.
But she does it. And he, of course, in classic slasher style, is just like moseying behind her.
I know. Also, come on.
Well, that's like
walk faster.
How it goes. That's how it goes.
I guess, yeah.
So then... they're in the thing. Elsa.
Well, he kills Elsa.
Which I was like, thank God. But he slashes her throat, and then he's like carrying her around like with the meat hook through her, gross. Which is gross. SMG is very horrified by this. And then an extended chase sequence begins where she uses a dumbwaiter thing to like pulley herself
up. The slowest of all means of getting away.
That was my only real good jump, was when he slashed at her leg while she was going up. She ends up going into the attic, then breaking through a window, dropping off the roof, running.
I thought the mannequin part was scary, too.
Yes.
So they're in this department. I mean, before the chase really ensues, they're in this department store, and there are all these mannequins that have, like, plastic draped over them, and she's looking around, looking to see where the killer is, and she turns, and there's sort of like there's the fisherman is standing perfectly still under the plastic, and he jumps out at her.
Yeah, it was good.
And it was good. Yeah.
It was a good reveal. She escapes. She's running through an alleyway, and then the parade is happening in front of her. She makes a stupid mistake, and she stops because she thinks she hears something behind her. It's like, who cares if you hear something behind you?
Keep
going.
Bitch. She's so close.
She's like feet from the safety of the parade, and the guy gets her. The fisherman gets her.
And no one can hear her because fireworks are going off.
So that solves your issue of 30 minutes left, 4 leads still left because our blondies are gone.
2 are gone.
Meanwhile, JLH is looking for her pals to tell them what's up. She can't find anybody. She runs to find Ray, a.k.a. Freddie, and she starts to tell him, like, I think that Susie, the girl who died in the car accident, I think her father killed David Egan, and I don't think that we killed David, and I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then she sees that the name on Freddie's boat is Billy Blue.
Billy Blue.
So she assumes that he is the murderer, which is a weird leap to make, but it is like he's been keeping a crazy secret.
Yes.
I guess. So she starts running from Freddie. He's chasing Julie, and then a guy, a good Samaritan, steps out from the darkness and socks Freddie. And Julie's like, oh my God, please help me. He's chasing me. And he goes, quick, get on the boat. And I was like, wait a second. I know you're panicking.
Just be like,
there's no world in which that makes sense.
I'm just going to go run towards the parade.
Yeah, like, no, let's go get to... And she's supposed to be so smart. She just, like, unthinkingly, okay, she gets on the boat.
Yeah, I guess, she's afraid of death.
She could easily not achieve death by running also away. But anyway, she gets on the thing. And as soon as she's on the boat, she realizes she has fucked up because her
nasty green hat is hanging there. Don't know if you noticed that.
No, I did.
Sure did.
Oh,
he has her green straw hat. He also has photos from earlier that day printed out and hanging on the wall.
Yeah, he really
has
on top of it.
Pictures of the parade taped to his wall.
He must have a laser printer on his boat. I don't know.
Or there's like a Kinko's next to that department store.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, and he has like news articles about Helen being the beauty queen and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he has been stalking them. It's very clear that this is the guy, right? Yeah. So that sucks.
But also like, what the fuck? Why does he have pictures from earlier that day? It's so stupid.
I didn't even notice that.
It's so stupid. He has a picture of Helen on the float. Either everyone else moves really slowly or he moves really fast or both because he can get a body out of a trunk in no time. He can get a body off a balcony in no time.
He's a very capable fisherman.
He can print a photo and have it hang up and look weathered in mere hours.
Yeah, he like soaked it in some lemon juice. He was like, I need this to have the correct effect.
This has to have a vintage feel.
For my stalker wall.
Yeah.
But anyway, then he, I think he says something that makes it very clear that he is the guy that they hit.
He's
I
like,
forget what he says.
Julie, you in danger, girl.
Attention. Yeah, he's like, I know that, you hit me and I'm not dead. By the way, his face.
You hit me and I'm going to hit you back.
His face looks great. He didn't have a scar or a mark upon him.
Great. It's like so good.
He's been moisturizing.
Yeah.
There's no scars. Okay, so he's chasing our girl.
Okay.
She is like locking herself in like the downstairs area of the boat, whatever that's called.
I mean,
and
I'm
Freddie
gonna be honest. Like, once Sarah Michelle Gellar died, I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah,
she was the best part of this movie to me. I didn't care about Julie very much.
I didn't care about any of them.
But what this did remind me of is, to me, one of the top scariest movies ever, Cape Fear, which ends on a boat. Movie. I hate that movie because it's so scary.
Yeah, me too. I hate it.
So that was my
That's
the one
true.
redeeming
Boats
thing.
Are scary.
I was like, I guess a boat is a thing.
Yeah, boats are scary.
Though even in the trailer, because I rewatched the trailer before watching the movie, and I was like, oh no, they go on that boat. Like, I didn't even want this part to come.
I don't want to go on a boat.
I don't want to go on a boat.
Well, Freddie Prinze Jr. wakes up and he's heroic and he gets on his little motorboat and he chases them down and he gets on the boat, which I was like, it would have been cooler if Freddie popped up as a surprise for us.
Also, it would have been so awesome if at this point, like, Monk showed up and had, like, solved the whole crowd. Solved the whole thing.
I would have
solved
been
the whole thing and, like, shown us flashbacks and, like, described the whole thing in very meticulous and calm detail.
That would have made me feel better. I don't usually like a Deus Ex Machina, but I think I could have gotten behind that. So yeah, okay, so Freddy starts fighting with the guy. Meanwhile, Julie goes down into the very hull, and there's all this ice. Because it's like a fishing boat, so there's a lot of ice. She's being really smart. She pushes the ice against the doors. She's smart now.
Yeah.
She discovers the bodies of
How the
SMG
fuck did he get the bodies
Ryan
down there so
Phillippe.
fast?
He's got the super strength of a man who's been hit by a car and come back to life.
You know, if I had 2 wishes in this life, number 1 would be to be able to get as much done in as little time as the killer in this movie. Wish number 2 would to have any moment in my life, even a single moment, be as lovely and exciting as a scene in the movie Mamma Mia.
You want to combine the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I want to be able to get everything done. I want to be able to get done as much in the morning as people on 90s sitcoms did, or in this movie before 10 a.m.
I think if there's one thing that this movie has given us, it's a standard that we can strive for in our productivity. Okay, so what happens now? I don't know. Freddy, they fight. There's a whole thing. I lose track. He ends up...
Jennifer Love screams 10 times.
Yeah, well, he throws Freddy overboard. Freddy gets back. He's about to kill JLH, and he says, next time you kill somebody, you better make sure they stay dead. And only by the grace of God, sheer luck, he goes back and his arm with the hook gets caught in some rigging. And Freddy acts fast and or maybe JLH does. Somebody acts fast and they move some ropes. And then the thing goes up and his hand gets chopped off and he goes flying into the water. Which I'm like, he's just going into the water. He didn't die last time he went in the water. Check. Double tap.
Also before that, Freddy pulled a full Home Alone move and took one of the ropes and swung it down.
That was good.
Yeah, he got Joe Pesci.
But also his hand has been removed. The hook is there. It's the throwback to the urban legend from the beginning.
Totally.
Also, it's a setup for a sequel because now he's actually going to be a hook man when he comes back in the sequel. And he's clearly not dead.
So insane.
So here, okay, we're going to come back around to why I hate this fucking movie, which is because after this, they're all recovering from their ordeal. And she's like, we never killed anyone. That whole year of guilt for nothing. And I was like, well, no, not for nothing. You still did a horrible thing. You are still a piece of shit. Just because... No, they did a horrible thing. If they had called an ambulance, you know what I mean? They still left this man. I mean, I'm sure it was a horrible, painful experience to crawl out of the lake.
But he's a murderer. He did murder his daughter's ex-fiance, David Egan. But that's just, again, by the grace of God. That's just luck that they didn't kill a nice person. In the book, they kill a little boy. Wow. Yeah. So there's that. First they're like, oh, I guess we don't have to feel bad anymore. Then a policeman comes up, and I'm like, okay, here's the moment where it could all turn around. If now, with no reason to come clean, they do come clean and they accept responsibility, then I've seen that they've grown as characters. Yeah. And that they've learned something from this. The police officer asks them, do you have any idea why he would want to kill you? And they just say, no. They've learned nothing. I know, but it would be very hard for them in that moment to be like, well, we did hit him with our car last year. But just narratively, though, these characters are garbage in the beginning. Garbage. They remain garbage. They don't learn. They don't grow. They end up back together and suddenly their relationship is healed. They also remain such garbage because your friends are dead. Oh, yeah. And yet, Julie, in the next scene, back at college, hair washed. Oh, yeah, she feels great. Living her life. She's doing finals. I'm having phone sex, practically. Girlfriend, your friends and 2 innocent people, including a cop. 3. Are 3? Elsa, Johnny Galecki, cop. 3! Yeah. Elsa! Imagine Elsa and Helen's family. Both of their beautiful daughters are murdered. Now you're fine. She's at the gym in a towel with a bra underneath because those boobs are not standing up like that on their own in that towel. And she is maybe the original Very Sexy Baby. Yeah. When she's talking to Freddie and she's like, you, mister, can ravage me next week. You can ravage me. And all of a sudden her voice is up here and it's so fucking annoying. It's very bad. And she's like, you're bad. No, you hang up first. No, you. She goes to get in. And meanwhile, I'm yelling at my TV, your friends are dead. I know. Also, you still left a man for dead on the side of the road. Why are you wearing a bra under your towel? God, fuck them all. See, this is what I'm saying. She's garbage too. They're all garbage.
So she gets into the steamiest shower ever known to man. She goes into the room and, like,
well, it wasn't like that. And then all of a sudden it's steam.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the time jumper jumped ahead
Oh,
and filled the room with
filled the room with
steam.
And then there's a steamed up shower door with written on it, "I still know." And then crash! Something crashes out. That was a good jump for me as well.
Yeah,
and then
I jumped really big at that.
Yeah,
part.
roll credits. So that's it. So, you know, there is a sequel, so Julie does not die in this moment. Spoiler alert.
No, she does.
Later. Not in this moment. Julie's in the sequel.
Julie's in the sequel?
Yeah, girl.
Are you sure?
Yes, I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I've seen the movie.
With Brandy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
I think it's
sequel?
a dream. I think, like, this scene is revealed to have been a nightmare in the sequel.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because she's still dealing with it.
That's true. But in the context of this movie, if we're just looking at this movie as a complete thing, it's like, that's fucked up. Okay, so that's I Know What You Did Last Fucking Summer. It was a very, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it did very well. I mean, this and the sequel were both, like,
and what was the sequel called?
I still know what you did last summer.
And then the sequel to the sequel is
I always
but
know. That's a different story. That's different characters and a different, like, it's the same premise but a different group of people.
I'll always.
And I think it was direct to DVD. I don't think it was in theaters.
For sure.
Callie, what are you gonna rate this movie?
What should I rate it? I haven't thought about this really. I know what I'm gonna rate it for scare faces, but I haven't thought about what I'm gonna rate it as a movie. Oh, this is so hard because I really did have so much fun watching it, but it's such garbage.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I hate to give it a 3 because that's so just like neither here nor there.
Yeah, but it's okay.
I think I'm gonna give it a 3 because in terms of how good the movie is, 2. In terms of my enjoyment watching it, 4. So I'm going to give it a 3.
I think that's fair.
I'm going to meet in the middle. In terms of scare faces, I'm going to give it a 1. It wasn't scary at all. I don't even remember it being scary. I think if anything, it's just more fun. But Friday the 13th is scary. You know, they're like...
Right. There are scary teen slashers.
Scream, Halloween I think is scary. I need to rewatch Scream, but I think the Scream movies are scary. So, you know, there are teen slasher movies that are truly scary. This is not one of them.
Okay. I'm going to give it 2 stars. I did not enjoy the watching of the movie. I hated everyone in it, and I couldn't wait for it to end. But there's a nostalgia factor, and the premise of it, the idea of these people having been consumed by guilt, and then the manifestation of that guilt literally comes back to get them, and they are powerless to stop it because they can't tell anybody about it. That's a cool premise. Mm-hmm. The writing and the acting was not really up to doing that premise justice to me, and the fact that they didn't learn anything at the end of it is like a huge fall down in the storytelling for me. So I'm going to give it a 2, and then I'm going to give it...
See, just like simple rewrites. Like even if when the police officer was like, do you have any idea why this man would want to kill you? If instead of saying no, Freddie Prinze had just been like, how much time do you have?
Yeah.
And then we don't have to see them explain, but like at least we know that they did.
Right. So my rating for scary is... I want to give it like a 1.5 because the SMG scene is fun scary, and there is the crabs in the mouth is scary, but I can't give it a 1.5, so I'll round it up to a 2. Like, I wouldn't recommend that somebody who hates horror movies watches this, but I think most people could handle it. It's really not bad. It's not bad. So that's I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I can't believe it's summer already.
Yeah.
And it'll be over before we know it.
And I'll always know what we did this
I'll
summer.
always know. I'll always know. Oh, I can't wait to eat some crabs this summer.
I know. I was wanting to eat crab rangoon, actually, talking about this. That's my favorite food.
Let's get some crabs and Corona and call it a summer.
All right. Well, that sounds good. We're going to go do that.
Okay. Thanks for listening, you guys.
Yeah, if you want to listen, if you want to find out what we're watching next week, you should follow us at Scream Girls Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and or Twitter. And if you want to email us recommendations, you can do that at screamgirlspodcast@gmail.com.
But before you do any of that, please go on iTunes, subscribe to this podcast, rate us, and give us just a little review. You can even put just a crab emoji. It will help us a lot. It just helps people find the podcast, and it would mean a lot to us.
Yeah, give us your crabs. See you next week.
Bye.